If my all-black ensemble hasn't given it away yet, today we're talking about spring trends, except because this is a slow fashion channel, we're going to talk about spring trends from the perspective of elements of style. Things like how color is being used, what textures are being used, things like silhouettes, proportions, all of these interesting elements versus looking at specific clothing and accessory items that are in one day and out the next, because that makes absolutely no sense and leads to overconsumption, as well as closets full of things that we don't actually really like. So hopefully looking at these trends from this perspective will allow you to take the elements that you really like, apply them to your own closet, and check your own closet first to see that you probably already have quite a few of these elements, or it's just a matter of restyling what you've already got and making maybe a few smart additions. So I really hope this video helps you, but before we jump in, a big welcome. Thank you for being here. My name is Alyssa. I talk about slow fashion and choosing creativity instead of consumption. So let's jump on in. If the term elements of style is new to you, I have an entire video dedicated to that topic. I will leave it up here for you. Definitely recommend watching it first. However, elements of style in a nutshell are these design elements, things like texture, use of color, silhouettes, proportions, lines, horizontal and vertical ones, all of these different design elements that are what make up things like pretty much anything actually. Fashion, design, interiors as well. These are elements that once you start to be able to apply them to your clothing, it will completely revolutionize the way you see your closet, because it helps you see your clothes as tools instead of just, you know, a single garment that maybe you're getting really tired of. Instead of seeing a single garment, you'll see things like fit, shape, how to play with it in terms of proportion, how to mix it and match it depending on its texture and its shape. So what I do, because there are so many different elements of style, I divide them into three categories. The first is the style vibe. What is the energy? What is the overall mood that this garment or this trend or whatever is giving? The second category is what is the shape of this, you know, style or outfit or trend? Is it long? Is it disproportionate? Is it asymmetrical? Is there a lot of drama, like big sleeves? Or is there a little bit of tension, you know, something really, really fitted paired with something really, really voluminous? All of these things, like proportion and silhouette specifically, play a huge factor in how we see a certain outfit or a certain garment, and can also play a huge role in how we wear certain things, depending on where we want the eye to travel on the body. The final element of style is styling tweaks or styling hacks. These I kind of lump into one giant category. It's like a catch-all. So this is things like use of texture, different uses of color, whether it's monochromatic or color blocking or analogous or whatever. Maybe it's all neutrals. These are things like how items are being worn. Are they tucked? Are they loose? Are things cuffed or rolled or worn in a really interesting way? All of these little styling tweaks that are often overlooked because they are so minor, but they can really have a huge impact on an outfit. So I'm gonna look at trends in each of these different buckets. Let's go. I noticed two prevalent style vibes or themes, and that was a ladylike sort of overarching theme or style vibe and a 90s theme or style vibe. This ladylike vibe was definitely really strong on runways like Alaya, Altuzara, even I would say Alexander McQueen had a lot of these like beautiful florals. And of course it was through these designers' own different iterations. So in some it looked like, you know, a little tailored separates, a beautiful skirt suit, and in others a little bit more of like a sexy, interesting floral design. The 90s theme was pretty self-explanatory. We've seen this one across the runways for several years and seasons now, I would say. Definitely referencing the whole quiet luxury, a lot of pared back basics, very simple combos and simple ensembles with minimal tailoring, but we'll get into that in a minute. I particularly liked Philip Lim and Loewe's take on the 90s trend. I just felt like it felt very fresh, but still beautiful and timeless. Again, much like the 90s, the beauty of this ladylike trend is that you can probably just change the way you style and mix certain things in order to achieve it. Again, if this is an aesthetic that you like. I feel like it's pretty timeless because a lot of it is made up of these really interesting separates, like skirts, like more fitted jackets, anything that really celebrates the form of the body, and also little details with flair, like a little bit of lace here and there. And that's not to say that you need to go out and buy something that feels ladylike, like a Mary Jane shoe. Maybe you just wear your skirts more, or cinch in a dress, or, you know, add perhaps a ribbon or something in your hair, or even just tie a scarf around your purse. Anything that adds a little bit more softness and flow to your look can create or lend a little bit more to this vibe or mood. Like most runway shows when it came to proportions and silhouettes, because there are just so many ideas and so many trends on the runways these days, I think a lot of the silhouettes and proportions that we saw were in complete opposite ends of the spectrum. So for example, a very prevalent silhouette and way of using proportions in a look are these very long, languid, lengthy silhouettes and proportions. So anything that really draws the eye to the vertical line. This looks like really long hemlines. Waistlines varied between super, super high waist or something that was a little bit more low slung. Both of these work really well for a super long hemline. So we're talking about like maxi skirts, maxi dresses, really long, languid trousers. And this was also done via using a monochromatic color palette. And to accompany these long lines and these long proportions created by a very heavy focus on vertical lines, this was coupled with these silhouettes that are also a little bit more languid and flowy. There wasn't too much sort of harsh structure with these long lines. So that was really interesting, and I really think that lends to this whole like sort of flowy, very easeful set of proportions. On the flip side, we also saw very mini proportions, and they were styled with a little bit more structure in terms of silhouette. So the mini short, which I know is not very wearable for a lot of people, but this is the beauty of having so many different things on the runway. You literally just get to choose what you want. Style is not dictated to you, it is dictated by you. I personally love the mini hemline. It was accompanied, as I mentioned, with a really interesting and drastic tension in proportions. So we did see it often styled with longer sleeves or oversized or something bigger and more voluminous on top to really offset that and add that little bit of tension when you're showing a lot of leg or when you've got a shorter hemline. I think it's a really cool look to have something voluminous on top. The relaxed silhouette, I just want to add, isn't necessarily just for those long, languid proportions. We definitely saw off-the-body silhouettes, off-the-body fits of clothing throughout, I would say. One more silhouette which I noticed, which wasn't super prevalent, but I personally think is going to start making a much larger comeback, is the blazer with the cinched waist silhouette. I know that we've been seeing a lot of these sort of bigger, boxy, oversized blazers, but I think especially with this whole ladylike vibe, just the way trends go, I do have a feeling we're going to be seeing a little bit more blazers with a nipped-in waist. So maybe just something to look out for. The cool thing about a change in silhouette like this, going to this sort of cinched waist idea, especially with blazers, is that you can always test it out or give it a try without having to buy a new blazer. Just belt your blazer or grab a brooch and give it a little button if you like, just to see if that's even a silhouette that you like. And if it is, wear it that way for a while before diving in and purchasing a blazer or a jacket that has that silhouette. Finally, general styling. This is where, if there are colors that are trending, I would lump them in here. However, I rarely like to focus on what colors are trending because it is so subjective. Yes, you can definitely dip your toe into a trend even if it's not a color that you don't like love up around your face via accessories like purses, socks. The two colors that stood out to me the most, if we're gonna go there, are red. The sky blue on the Fendi runway was one of my favorite ways that it was styled. Butter yellow was also quite popular, and I think we'll have a little bit of a resurgence. Mint green on the Ferragamo runway was really beautiful. But what's interesting and what I pulled from these colors, especially the ones in the pastel category, is that they were all being styled with a very small hit of contrast with a darker neutral, particularly black. And I thought this was really interesting and very effective. It reminded me of Blake Lively's beautiful Ralph Lauren look in Gossip Girl. Was it season 2? I don't remember. I'm gonna put something up here for you. But I personally love this combination of colors, this nice soft pastel with the tiniest hit of black. And again, I think this is something that you can achieve with whatever you've got in your closet. You don't necessarily need to buy a whole new outfit. If you've got a little bit of black, or if you've got like a darker neutral that contrasts some sort of lighter color in your closet, then give it a try. See what happens, you know? Then we saw them being worn head to toe in a monochrome. And again, this doesn't necessarily mean, in my opinion, that you need to go out and buy a full head to toe pastel outfit. Maybe all you have to do is go into your closet, find a color or even a tone of color that you like, and create a monochrome outfit as much as possible that you can. I don't think the pastels have to be all the same. What will make a look feel cohesive and fresh is keeping it all within the same saturation. That's what I would do. One more interesting pattern that I saw with the use of color, it was mostly used with neutrals, was this sort of sandwich styling, where you have perhaps a white dress but sandwiched with a black belt and a black topper, or a black belt and a black shoe, or that kind of thing. There was always two accessories that were matching that would kind of sandwich these two contrasting colors together. So this sandwich method, again, pretty easy. You don't even have to have like a matching belt and bag, as long as there's two accessories that are coordinating with each other. Could be shoe bag, could be shoe hat, could be belt watch. Just understand that it's not so much about the specific colors or even the specific accessories, it's about how you're styling them. Next up was textures. I'm personally here for it. I love a solid texture play, particularly because a lot of my clothes are neutrals or similar colors. So adding texture is a really nice way to break up a look if you're someone who also prefers to wear basics or just a lot of neutrals head to toe. So the textures though that really stood out to me were the metallics, from a super high shine to, you know, something a little bit more subtle and understated in terms of the metallics. We saw some really beautiful crochet. Obviously, this is like no news for spring. We also saw a lot of like draping techniques, transparency. Leather and lace were also quite prevalent throughout, not necessarily together, but separate. But again, maybe this is an opportunity for you to take some fall traditional leather pieces that you've got for that season and try and restyle them into what you're wearing for spring. The final piece that I noticed with regards to accessories was how bags were being held on the runway. And this can make a really big difference in terms of the vibe of an outfit, as simple as it is. So a lot of bags were being worn either just on the shoulder, in like the crook of your arm, or held or cradled like this, or by a top handle. So a little bit more delicate, a little bit more like romantic, you know, less functional with a crossbody or a backpack or anything like that. This is clearly very much informing that whole sort of quiet luxury and ladylike aesthetic. This is fantastic because it has absolutely nothing to do with the type of bag you own already. It just has everything to do with how you carry it. So that is what I have for you today, my analysis of spring summer 2024 trends. I have already done a shop your closet for spring 2024 trends. I will leave it up here for you. It doesn't go over all the ones we spoke about today, but it does show sort of how I go into my closet and pull out the elements and create outfits that I wouldn't have otherwise put together before. Hopefully you found this video helpful. I think I already said that. If you did, if you learned something new, or even if you just liked it in general, give it a thumbs up. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget, I do have a podcast with the incredible creators Sina and Christina. I will leave that down below. I've also got a membership program where we dive deeper into topics around slow fashion and support each other in choosing creativity over consumption. So I'll leave a link for that down there as well. Thank you so much for watching. It really does mean so much. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, a wonderful rest of your week, and I will see you in the next slow fashion video. Ciao!